Welcome to the Swim Swam podcast. I'm today's host, Coleman Hodges, and joining us today, he is the newly minted American record holder in the 500-yard freestyle, dropping a 4:04:45 at the Texas Elite Invite last month. He is the Swim Swam's Ultra Swimmer of the Month. And he's a Texas sophomore. Today, we're sitting down with Rex Maurer. Rex, thanks so much for joining us. How's it going, man?
I'm good. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
This episode of the Swim Swam podcast is sponsored by Commit Swimming, Swim Swam's exclusive team management software partner. Since 2015, Commit has been providing coaches with swimming's leading workout management software. And now, Commit has team management software too. Commit wants to help you make the switch from Team Unify to a simpler, more powerful solution. Their onboarding and customer service team will walk you through every step of the way. Check them out at commitswimming.com to book your demo today. That's COMMIT swimming.com. Absolutely. Let me just read off some numbers for our listeners before we dive into this conversation. You swam 6 events at the Texas Invite a couple weeks ago. You went 6 best times, 131.5 in the 200 free, 4:04:4 in the 500 free, 14:30.4 in the mile. Would have won NCAAs last year, by the way. 45.3 in the 100 back, 138.2 in the 200 back, and then 334.1 in the 400 IM, making you number 5 all time in that event. How'd you feel about this meet? That's quite a performance over the course of a few days.
Yeah, I was super proud of all my performances this at midseason. Obviously it was a big lineup. This whole season, Bob has been putting me in a lot of events at every meet, so I felt pretty prepared to be able to handle those doubles. I hadn't swam the mile in 2 years, so I was definitely a little bit nervous about that one. But I was happy that I could get the 2 back in there. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do that. I think Eric and Bob were really excited about that mile. Maybe not so much myself, but obviously it ended up going well. So yeah, I was super happy with all those performances across the board. Obviously, big best times can never be disappointed.
Yeah. Let's break it down even more minutia for a couple of those events. Leading off the 800 free relay in that 200 free. What that was night 1, right? Tuesday night?
No, we broke it up into a 3-day meet. So that was after my 4 a.m. That was the second night.
Okay, so that was your 3rd swim of the day then. How are you feeling about that 200 free? And is there a certain way you wanted to swim that? And do you feel like you were able to execute that one the way you wanted it to?
Yeah, I mean the 2 free is super interesting for me. I think growing up as an age grouper, it had always been kind of my baby. That and the 5 free, I had always kind of thought of that. That's what I swam in high school. So that had always been one of my main events, and I kind of got away from it at my freshman year, and I had switched to the 4 IM, and I didn't really get many opportunities to swim the 200 free. So I think getting back to it, I was really excited to have a chance, see what I can do and do with it in Bob under Bob's training. I had a decent drop, long course this summer. I'd made the semifinal in the 2 free, which I was super proud of. Got down to 47.1. So I felt like I had a big drop due. Going into the season, I still had a 33 mid or something from high school. And, even that time, honestly, I felt like I could have gone faster than that in high school. So I felt like, especially in the 2 free, I was due for a big drop. At IU, I swam it, and that was like our big, exciting meet. And, the lights were on. And I'd come off a big swim, like session in the morning. I'd done the 1,004 IM double at the IU meet in the morning. But then I got down to 32 low or something at that meet, and I was super excited with that. And then at night at the invite, I'd had the 4 a.m. Before. So, I didn't know exactly how my body would respond. I had warmed down well. I was feeling good. I was obviously swimming great at the meet. So I felt confident and felt like I could go out there and do it. I didn't exactly take it out very aggressively. That was definitely something that Bob pointed out to me right when I got out of the water, that, you took it out 45 and you ended up going 31 or something like that. I was maybe 44 high, but not exactly how I would swim whatever a 131 I think is normally swam, or how I would like to swim it in the future. But I think on the back end of a double, it was a good way to swim it. Be safe, really power it home on the back end. I think that was definitely something I was strong in across that entire meet. So I thought it was a great swim.
I mean, you kind of mentioned that you had gotten away from it maybe post high school, or at least during your freshman season at Stanford, but I'm guessing you were very aware of the evolution of that event, especially over the last few years, and how fast it has gotten. Was that something that has been on your mind this season at all, or that just you've thought about when considering that specific event of, we've seen it go from 129 low to now 128, and people are making 131s and 130s seem routine at this point.
Mhm. Yeah, that's definitely something that I'm aware of. I think I moved to the 4 a.m. in the first place last year because the two free has kind of become a bigger man's, an older man's, a stronger man's game. You have to be able to float it out in about a 43 in order to like be competitive and try and make that NCAA final. So that's definitely something I'm aware of. I'm not the biggest guy. It's especially, in the past few years, you see guys like whatever Jordan Crooks and Jack Alexi, or 50, 100, 200 guys are moving up into the A final. And so, people like me who are swimming 5 free, 4 a.m. mile, 2 back, it's just a little bit harder for me to, I would say, do that consistently and have that easy speed. Um, so I think that, yeah, I think that's definitely something I'm aware of. And, especially training with Luke every day, he definitely has a lot more speed than me. He's more of a 50, 100, 200 guy. You realize, kind of the legs you have to have to do it too free. You really got to be able to drive those consistently and have the speed, which I think I can get, but I definitely think the 4 a.m. is probably more of my bread and butter.
Hmm. Are you a kicker in practice?
I'm a big board kicker. I'd say I'm pretty good on a board. I'm not like the best guy on the team on a board. There's a lot of guys who are better than me at kicking, but I think I can hold my own.
Who is the best kicker for the Texas men on a board?
On a board, Kobe Carosa and Michael Cotter are pretty good. Michael Cotter, like when we do 50s, he's about under 30 every time, which is pretty impressive on a board.
That's pretty good. Yeah, no kidding. Are you flutter, dolphin, breaststroke?
Yeah, always flutter, always flutter. I know my breaststroke kick is horrible. My dolphin kick is also not the best. I'm almost all flutter on a board all the time. Sometimes I'll throw it in on my back, but um, I like to stay on the board.
I never understood dolphin kicking on a board, but I think that's because I'm not a natural kicker. I think like Ian Crocker is always like, yeah, dolphin kick on a board. Why not? And I'm like, I don't get it, but also I don't have the torso that you do. So I just don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, no, it's hard for me. I always end up going to my knees, which is not what you want to be doing on a flutter kick or a fly kick on a board.
Yeah. Yeah. No, fair enough. Okay. So 200 free analysis. Excellent. 500 free. Obviously, this was day one of the meet. It's similarly to the 200 free at the Indiana meet a couple weeks before, you had gone 4:11.2. That was the best time for you. And then in the morning, you went 4:10, 4:09.
409.
Okay. Um, how did that morning swim feel?
Yeah. Well, I'll go back to the Indiana meet briefly. So,
Okay.
so yeah, half second best time, and that was on the back end of another. That was after that two free that I talked about earlier. And I'd really back half that. I think I was back under 140 in that swim.
Mhm.
And whatever at the back of that monster day, to be able to go a best time in the five free, I was super proud of that and super confident in my closing speed. So I think I was really able to carry that confidence into midseason. As far as prelims went, you know, Bob really told us to try and attack the morning. Be aggressive and see what you can put out there. That's what we have to do at the end of the season at SECs and NCAA's, and that's you can only drop so far. Was his philosophy. Like whatever. If you go 4:15 in the morning, you're probably not going to go 4:04. You need to kind of set your body up to really realize what it can do. So in the morning, I love to cruise the morning. It's definitely something that is a bad habit, and I enjoy doing it. So I was watching the heats before because I was the top seed, and Kobe, absolute. I think he threw down maybe a 411 or something, and he had like a 49 split, maybe like his to the 300 to the 400. And I was like, all right, like it. Everyone else is doing it. Like you kind of have to dial in for this morning. And I definitely I pushed it. I felt like I was going really hard. Obviously, at night I would end up dropping more, but I think when I touched the wall in the morning, I was like, oh, like that's awesome. I've wanted to get under 410 since high school. It's been a like elusive barrier, and it's a super it's achievement that I'm super proud of. And I definitely thought I could go faster. I don't know if I thought I was going to go 5 seconds faster at night, but um, I did feel like I swam it well, I executed well, and it teed me up for the night.
Mhm. Mhm. Um, and then what was the impact of, I don't know, seeing Carson go 405?
Yeah, that was a crazy swim. I remember I was at midseason at the same exact midseason last year when I was at Stanford, and I remember seeing him throw down a 407, and I was like, oh my god, like that's so fast. And then that got me hyped up, and I didn't even really know him at that time. And so seeing him do it again and go even faster and break the American record, and the whole place went crazy. It was super exciting. But just as his training partner, it's awesome to see your friends, accomplish great things. But also as his training partner, it gives confidence that Bob told me before before my race, we were talking about like, oh, like just casually, like what do you think is going to happen in this race? And he's like, you race him in practice every day. You beat him some of the time, like you beat him, a decent amount of the time. It's not ridiculous to think that you can go around that time too. And I think that really clicked in my head that even though that's a big drop for me, and if I went 405, that would be awesome. That's a possibility, and that's a reality that I could do.
Mhm. I didn't actually watch the race itself, but I'm guessing you were and in so many of your races, you have a very strong back half, right? You come
Mhm.
back at the I mean, going back to the Texas Indiana meet, that was an electric race. It was David Johnston, yourself, and Zalin Zarkani, and at the 350, I think, I was like, everyone was neck and neck, and it was like, "Oh, Rex is gonna win this," because, like, you could see kind of the momentum and where everyone was at, even though you all flipped at the same time. I'm guessing this was not like that.
Uh-huh. No, yeah. Yeah, I guess if there's no video of it, there's no video of it. But I dove in, and I had done my pace in the meet, and it had felt really good. And I just knew that I needed to, get onto my stroke right off the bat. And if I could do that, I would tee myself up for a great swim. And I dove in, and I had a really good first 50. And I typically I feel like over the course of my career, I always get a little bit nervous when I'm ahead right off the start. Like I feel like, oh, you know, you're going to burn yourself out. You're too far ahead this early. maybe try and give, and then I end up giving that space back and racing, just with everyone. And, I think maybe because that heat was full of guys I train with every day, I felt like, you train with these guys, it's okay to be ahead of them. It's not like ridiculous that you're ahead of them. And I dove in, and yeah, I think I was ahead for pretty much the entire race. And if you look at the splits, I obviously really opened it up on the back end. 47 on the last 100 is very, very fast. So um, yeah, I think it was a really even split race. I felt like I got to the 300, and I thought to myself, you can really push it. Because I was ahead. I knew you're going pretty quickly. I didn't know exactly how fast I was going, but if I was body lengths ahead of guys like Carson or David and Kobe and Luke and our whole training group, if I'm ahead of them by 2 body lengths, I'm going quick.
Yeah. And then just what was your reaction? I mean, then, but also now after having sat with it for a week or two of going 4:04.4.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super proud of that swim. I think it represents, the culmination of lots of years of training. I think it's easy to feel like, oh, whatever. You switched to Texas, and you had this great training block, and and this new transition with Bob has whatever dropped 7 seconds, which I definitely think it has contributed a lot. Not to say that this move hasn't, but I don't think I have been training that much better. I have been. This has been the best training of my life, and I've been swimming incredibly fast. But I've been training at a similar level, like my similar effort level, probably since my junior year of high school.
Mhm.
So I think it's really exciting to see all that work come to fruition, which you don't always get. I've had it plenty of times where I feel like I'm training great. I feel like I'm gonna have a great swim, and it's not exactly where I want to be. So, to have a big breakthrough like that, I was super satisfied with. I mean, initial reactions, I was very surprised. I was super, super excited. I remember looking at my dad in the stands, and he was super excited. And, having Luke and my mom there to see it there was also super special. So I was happy that I got to share it with them. I mean, falling asleep that night was super hard. It's such an emotional high. I remember my high school coach was in South Africa for his job, and he called me because he had been asleep when it happened, and he said I woke up to like 50 texts on my phone. He's like, "Well, he either swam really well or really bad. There's not much in between." And he was just so happy for me, and being able to share it with all the people in my life who have helped me get to this point. I got so many congratulations texts and so many like I'm proud of you. So it's just great to have that, and be able to share it with everyone.
I was your high school coach, Kevin, who is in South Africa. He was texting me during that meet because I saw him. I was at the Texas Indiana meet, and so I saw him there and talked with him for a little bit, and I actually met your dad there as well. Uh,
Nice.
yeah, but it was fun getting to getting to communicate with him about that, just because it was such a big moment, and I'm sure for your circle and for you, like the culmination of a lot, right? Because I think we see that with athletes very commonly, where like you said, you're working hard, right? And you're doing what you're supposed to be doing for months or if not years at a time, and it doesn't always pan out the way you think it will or you think it should.
Hmm.
That's not to say you're not doing the right thing. It just that's I think that's how sports is sometimes. But it's great to see everything click. I think on that note, I would like to talk about this transition to Texas, and you go to Stanford your freshman season, and then you end up at Texas this year. What went into that transition for you, and what made Texas the right choice for your sophomore season?
Yeah. I mean, so I had come to Texas following the winter quarter at Stanford. Oh, sorry, the lights went off. Hold on. See if I can trigger them. Okay, sorry. So I had come to Texas after the winter quarter at Stanford to train with Eddie, and train for trials. And at the time, I was just under the impression that I was coming here to train for a few months and prepare myself for the best trials possible. Obviously, I didn't have the best NCAA's, and I just kind of wanted to change the scenery, and having the opportunity to train under Eddie, and Wyatt, have had so much success and so legendary. I thought it was a great opportunity that I just couldn't pass up. And while I was here, there was definitely some thoughts about my future. I think when Bob got the head coaching job, and when I was training here, I realized, Texas is so special in that of how many of like the world's best swimmers are assembled in one pool. That's, you can't replicate that anywhere else. And to be able to train with guys who have gone to the places that I want to go to and have achieved the things that I want to achieve, that's super special. I really enjoy, being the chaser. I enjoy, having people that can push me in ways that I can't push myself. It's really hard to get to the Olympic level, the world championship level, by yourself. And, a meeting with Bob once I entered the portal, I, I, it's just, it's very exciting to be able to swim for one of the most accomplished coaches, in swimming history. It was very exciting to have that opportunity. And I felt like it was something I couldn't pass up. And, even knowing all of that, it was still, the hardest decision I've ever had to make in my life. I absolutely love Stanford. It holds such a special place in my heart. Obviously, I have so much history with it, with my brother going there, my parents going there, my mom coaching there, me growing up around that pool. I absolutely love the school. I love all the all the people I met there and had the chance to swim with there. And if I could go back, I would go back there again. I wouldn't change my freshman year at all. I absolutely loved my freshman year, and I still talk to all those people every day. So it was a super hard decision, but in the end, I just felt like Texas was going to be a place I could pursue my dreams to the fullest extent.
Mm-hmm. And I think that is something that is so normal, and so I hope people understand that it's so much of college, and certainly athletics, is just about like the fit and what's going to be the best fit, and trying out different places, trying out different things is a part of every aspect of life, right? Whether that's college, jobs, whatever. So it's great to hear that. It's great to see that this seems to be working out, and seems to be a good fit for you in terms of the training group, which we've alluded to several times. I mean, I think swimming fans are just kind of salivating at the prospect of this training group because, as you mentioned, it's like Kobe Carrozza, Carson Foster, Luke Hobson, yourself, Michael Cotter. I mean, and there's so much. It's kind of cool because it's like you have this Texas team that was there last year, but then you have so many new faces now, that have just kind of bolstered this roster. What has it been like dropping into this team that has so many new faces as well as so many, established athletes and leaders on the team?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been really fun and it's been really exciting to be on the Texas pool deck at this time. I think obviously there's a lot of eyes on us this season, and it's cool to have that kind of pressure and have that kind of expectations on us. And I think the established guys and the guys who have swam with Eddie for their entire career have done a great job of shepherding us into the Texas culture, the famed Texas culture. And I think, Bob has done a great job of honoring, Eddie and everything that he's accomplished and everything that he has set up for us as, team expectations, and while also introducing, his own spin and understanding that, he's not Eddie, and he has his own way of doing things, and he has his own whatever different way of interacting with us. So I think being in this environment where we are still just coming out of the Eddie area, while introducing all these new faces, and kind of invigorating like new life into the Texas program is extremely exciting and cool to be a part of. I mean, I think you can feel it on deck. When Eddie comes back for a practice or a meet, all of us love to go and talk to him and say hello. And so I think we're doing a great job of both honoring the past and looking towards the future.
Yeah. In terms of Bob's spin on things and just the training environment, what do you feel like that has been like compared to other training environments you've been in? I mean, I'm sure it's a lot different even than training at Texas this summer.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I didn't train with Eddie for the longest time, but they're very different in how they approach practice. Eddie loved to start practice off with a 10-15 minute long story and tell you something about his hunting trip, or tell you something about some obscure thing he read about online. And you might get one of those in between workouts, and he would just dictate the workouts to you, and you didn't really know exactly what was coming. With Bob, he is very more straight to business, straight to the pool. When he walks out of the office, we circle around, he reads the set to us, it's all written out. And you get ready to go through a workout. The intervals are very strictly followed, and there's not much time in between each set. So they're definitely different in that. But I think the thing that you can tell is the same is our attitude towards the set. I think even like with Eddie and Bob, we are everyone is attacking the workout every day, and I think it's that's definitely continued to happen.
Mm-hmm. Has there been in your mind, a quintessential mid-distance practice? I mean, can you give us an example of a workout that you did really well on, or that will stick in your brain for weeks to come for one reason or another?
We do a colors set every Monday afternoon, and I am realized that I am very good at colors. I didn't really do colors workouts, or whatever. I didn't do them like the traditional, the white, pink, red. I must have done them, but I didn't do the white, pink, red, and those are definitely some of my best workouts of the week, and those definitely stand out to me. We did one yesterday. This is like our first real colors workout back from break. We did 3 200s on 210, and then 4 100s on 110, and then a second round of that where the 200s were on 215, and then a third round of that where the 200s were on 210, and the 100s stayed the same. And so the first round was white, the second round was pink, and the third round was red. So it's 1,000 white, 1,000 pink, 1,000 red. And usually we won't do that much red. Usually the red will be kind of more intense. But that is one that me and Kobe and David were all in a line, going after it. And it those are my favorite workouts of the week because I swim well in them. But we definitely do a lot of those. Yeah.
So, what were you holding on those? Or I guess what was your
Yeah.
was there a
So
goal time?
the 200s white, I was like 156, 157 maybe. 100s white, I was probably 56, 57 still. Then the 200s pink, I was 148, 149. 53s on the 100s.
Okay.
And then the reds, I was 144, 143, 143, and 50 and 51 on the 100s.
Okay. It's pretty big difference on all those.
Yeah, yeah,
You really descend.
I try and descend them well. Yeah, I will say like a typical one will build into like one I'm proud of is I forget what the set was, but it ended up going down to a 400 red basically, and that was I was in the 320s on that, and that was like one of the first times where I was at Texas and I was like, wow, like I'm training really quick, like 320 for a 400 from a push in practice red, like that's not bad. That's not bad.
Flip another 100, go best time in the 500, right? Yeah, no kidding. Okay, I know you have to leave soon. I don't want to keep you longer than you can, but I do have a couple final questions. One, Carson Foster, 400 free at Short Course Worlds. Any
Mhm.
predictions on that one?
I don't know short course meters times. So I what is the world record a 333
I think it's 232
or 232?
to 332. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what short course meters times are, but I would expect him to be quick. He trains very well. He trains like an animal, especially in long like aerobic stuff like that. Like me and him are always going after it in those color sets. So I would expect him to be very quick. I'll say mid 330s.
Love that. I think swimming fans would love that too. Every time he enters a 400 free at any meet, I think everyone gets really excited. So I think to see him swim this on a world stage is very exciting for everyone.
Hmm.
So just to follow up, or sorry, to wrap up here, um, in terms of being at Texas with under Bob Bowman, uh, what is I'm curious what the culture has been like in terms of it's his first year there. So obviously he's, as you said, kind of honoring Eddie's legacy while instilling his own. Are you guys talking about trying to win a national title? Are you talking about trying to win an SEC title? First year in the SEC too, right? I mean, so
Hmm.
there's so much newness that I'm curious what his emphasis is and what your goals are, or just how you're looking at the rest of this season.
Yeah, we brought those goals up at the beginning of the year, but we touched on them in the beginning of the year and said, this is what we're trying to aim for, and we don't really touch on them since then. We know, that's kind of the standard that we set, and we know that's what we're working for. We don't really, have to talk about it very much, during the season. I think Bob's big thing is, he talks about it all the time, is just do your work. Bob is he's very serious, and he expects a lot of a lot out of us. And I think that's one of the things that I've enjoyed most about being here is his expectations for us are maybe even higher than we have for ourselves. And I think that's really cool that he has standards and believes in us so much, and he is doing his best to make sure that we can achieve those goals, and he just wants to make sure that we are also doing our best to achieve our goals at the end of the season. So I think he just focuses on making sure that we are getting better every day. Recently they've talked about you're only getting better or you're getting worse. So make sure that you're getting better. So I think just the emphasis on really attacking every practice. I think it's easy to feel like oh my god, I'm so tired, I'm just going to try and float through this workout. Bob will never let you float through a workout. If he thinks you're doing something slow, he will let you know, and he will tell you to go faster. So I think it's cool to have someone that is keeping that watchful of an eye on progress.
You've been listening to the Swim Swam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take Swim Swam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.